everybody. I am the Pale Emperor. That's the name I use online when I talk about Jehovah's Witness things. I just want to talk to you very quickly about apostasy, particularly with the Jehovah's Witness religion. What it is and what it isn't, under the Jehovah's Witness terms. I am a Jehovah's Witness apostate. That's what I am. And I'm proud to say that I am. Let me give you a rundown of what brought me here, what made me an apostate, and why I'm proud to be one. I was raised into the Jehovah's Witness religion. I was born into it. What happened was, my parents came from different religious backgrounds, and in the 1970s they joined a cult. Now nobody joins a cult, nobody joins something that they think will harm them, or something that they think is devious, or malicious, or dangerous, which is precisely what the Jehovah's Witness religion is, which I'll get to in a moment. They joined because, well, for my father's case, he joined because it answered the questions he had. It gave him instant answers to things that he was concerned about. What's going to happen in the future of this world? Will we see our dead loved ones again? These were things he wondered about. The Jehovah's Witnesses gave him instant answers from the literature. In my mother's case, my mum came from a very poor background. She wasn't looked after by her parents. She was raised in foster homes. And so when she was about 14, 15 years old, she met a Jehovah's Witness who called on her door, her parents' door. She spoke to them, and of course this religion, in a sense, became her parent. And it gave everything she needed. She had instant friendship, she had instant friends, she had a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose in the world. And of course, again, it answered questions, that she'll see dead loved ones again, and she'll live in a perfect world where no one's harmed. So my parents joined the cult. And when they were in that cult, that's when they met. They eventually got married, and they had children. And I was one of them. They had 5 children, and I'm one of 5. Now obviously, because they believed it to be the truth, they raised their children in that religion, in all sincerity and in all love. And I don't blame them for doing that, because, of course, I would do the same thing if I thought that I had the truth. But the situation is, when they joined that cult, when they joined the Jehovah's Witnesses, this is what they were teaching. The year was about 1976, so it's just after 1975, the false prediction of the end of the world, which the Jehovah's Witnesses now flatly deny. They believed at that time that Armageddon was just around the corner, as it still is, and they also believed that the wild beast in Revelation was the United Nations, and that soon the world governments would turn on religion and put it under ban, and that only the Jehovah's Witness religion would be left, and that would prove that they are God's one true religion. And this is almost the same of what they believe now, the religion believes now. They believe that the faithful and discreet slave, or faithful and wise servant, as every other translation of the Bible puts it, they believe that the faithful and discreet slave was the 144,000. Of course now, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the faithful and discreet slave is just the governing body. So it's changed since. And they also believed that Armageddon will come when the 144,000 anointed Jehovah's Witnesses are dead, and that they were chosen in the year 1914, and so the end was surely going to be imminent, because these people are very old now. Seeing that in 1984 or 1985, the Watchtower Society brought out a magazine, the Watchtower magazine, which was entitled "The Generation That Will Never Die." And on the front it had pictures of these old people who were supposed to be anointed, and that they will never die because Armageddon will come before they pass away. Of course, they did pass away, and the Jehovah's Witnesses have since updated their understanding of Scripture. So yes, my parents joined a cult, and they raised their children in that religion. Now my childhood, as I remember, I was actually very happy. I don't regret being raised as Jehovah's Witness. I don't regret it. In fact, I have a lot of happy memories, and a lot of stories I can tell which made me what I am today, and would make me more careful of joining another religion. It's given me a very good bullshit detector. I can detect bullshit a mile away now, because I'm so used to the Jehovah's Witnesses and what they used to say. So I was brought up, obviously, not celebrating birthdays, not celebrating Christmas or Easter, or any public holiday that had anything to do with religion or nationalism of any sort. Of course, I never voted when I got to my adult years. I never attended other religious services. So it was pretty much a very closed religion. My only friends really were other Jehovah's Witness children, but I didn't really have that many friends because I don't know if it's true with every congregation, but certainly the congregation that I was in, it was very cliquey. So unless you were popular or your father was an elder, those children would play together. The elders' families would all play together, and if you weren't in the little clique, you were pretty much left out. And of course, if you're limiting yourself to just Jehovah's Witness children, you haven't got much of a choice, not much of a excuse me, not much of a friendship can develop there because the age range is going to be so big. So I don't regret being raised a Jehovah's Witness because it gave me a lot of life experience. So fast forward a few years, and I'm being brought up as a witness, obviously, and I would go to school and I would talk about, I generally believed that this was the one true religion. I would talk to Jehovah in my head. I would pray all the time. I was always praying, but I remember I was always talking to Jehovah in my head, always, and it felt so real to me. And whenever something went my way, whenever something good happened, there was just proof that Jehovah had done it for me. And whenever something didn't go my way, it was just, well, it's one of the things. I didn't blame Jehovah for it. I thought, oh, never mind. It's cognitive dissonance, obviously. And I would preach to my friends. I've talked about the resurrection. I've talked about Armageddon. I've talked about people dying in Armageddon if they don't become Jehovah's Witnesses. I bring literature to school sometimes, and I pass that on to my friends. But this is because I genuinely believed it. I genuinely believed what I was doing was the right thing to do. And I hated door knocking. I always hated door knocking. Even when I got into my adult years, I hated it. And I made no pretense about it. I did think it was not the best way to preach. Because people don't want to talk on the door, do they? Most people want to ask questions in their own time and work or in school or something. So, I was raised obviously with circular reasoning, not allowed to look at any other religion, not allowed to read any other religious books, only allowed to research religious things using the Watchtower Society's own literature, not allowed to question the society, because if you question the society, you're questioning Jehovah, because apparently Jehovah has chosen the governing body as his representatives on earth. And I was brought up to believe that the governing body love us and they have our best interests at heart, and whatever they say surely has some kind of special channel from God. You take blood transfusions, for example. I believe that blood transfusions were wrong. At the time, I genuinely believed that. And I was fully convinced that at some point in the future, a medical outbreak would happen, and only people who had blood transfusions would cause a disease. And we would all say, oh, well, we haven't got it because we didn't do blood transfusions. And like, surely this is Jehovah's doing here because we were right. Jehovah told us blood transfusions are wrong. Of course, the Bible doesn't mention blood transfusions at all. The scriptures they use to justify blood transfusions have nothing to do with blood transfusion. It's talking about eating blood. And even then it's the blood of animals. So I went through school. I passed up going to university. I was hoping to go to medical school to become a doctor. I passed up doing A-levels, I passed up doing university, and instead I worked in an office, and I started from the ground up, and so I've always worked in offices. But you do feel, I personally do feel like a lot of wasted potential. A lot of my life wasted in the sense of there's lots of subjects I'm interested in that I would like to have pursued in college or university, and lots of things like travel. I would have liked to travel the world more, but of course I wasn't supposed to do that as a witness because it would have meant I was missing meetings. When I got to the age of about 19 or 20, quite a few of my congregation who were of my age range, who could afford it, went to Australia for about a year. And this became a really popular thing to do in the northwest of England for some reason. People started going to Australia for a year. And of those ones that went to Australia, about 95% of them came back not as Jehovah's Witnesses. They'd left the religion while they were away. And I do believe that was because they were away, basically that they wasn't enjoying the religion, maybe they didn't really believe it, and surely when they were away in Australia they weren't attending meetings, which obviously pulled the plug on the cult's control on them, and they could start to think for themselves, and they really did reason that they were in a cult and they left it. And fair play, I'm very happy that they did that. I wish I did that. Instead, I carried on in the cult until I was 31 years old. I was a committed believer, but I always said that I believe there was more to it than what we have. I believe that I used to say that this is the closest thing to Christianity that there is. That's what I used to say. I don't believe that now. In fact, now I say it's because it's the most far removed from Christianity that there is. But at the time I did believe it was the closest to Christianity because I was reading the New World Translation and their publications and their magazines. And if you use only their literature, you will start believing it because it's propaganda, and that's what happens. You feed your brain with so much lies, eventually your brain will believe those lies. And you're trained to not question, and you're trained to feel guilty if you look at an apostate website, or if you question something, or if you notice things like how creation is flawed because there's creatures like, what about germs? Why would Jehovah create germs? Or why would he create things that make you ill? Why would he create animals that attack other animals? You didn't question those things because you felt guilty if you did. And I was also, I didn't think it was right that you should confess your sins to elders. I didn't think judicial committees with 3 elders should even happen, because Jesus didn't tell us to, that wasn't in the Bible. I didn't believe shunning or disfellowshipping should happen, because that also wasn't in the Bible. I didn't believe that we should have to record how many hours we knock on doors on the ministry, because for those of you that don't know, 10 hours a week, 10 hours a month is the average that Jehovah's Witnesses is supposed to report. And if they don't report 10 hours a month, they're viewed as spiritually weak. I had no interest in becoming a ministerial servant though, or an elder, simply because, I was very studious and I loved doing talks. I really enjoyed doing talks, and I knew quite a lot about Christianity and the religion. Sounds funny considering I was in a cult, but I did. And to this day, I do still enjoy studying religion in general. But because I didn't want to become a ministerial servant or an elder, because for one thing, it's more responsibility, and it would take time away from me and from my family. And also, I knew that I would have to toe the party line. If the governing body brought out a new teaching, I would have to accept it straight away. And I would have to teach that to the congregation, even if I didn't believe it. So that's something I didn't want to do. I got married when I was 24 years old to a 19-year-old girl. This is absolutely normal in the Jehovah's Witness world. We were married for about 6 years, and then we had our child, our little girl. And of course, we raised her in the cult as well. We raised her with Caleb and Sophia videos and the little publications that the Watchtower Society are bringing out now. And then I started to wake up from the cult. I started to question things. I noticed things that weren't right. The changing in doctrine, the shunning. I would look at different translations of the Bible, and pretty much all the translations of the Bible would agree with each other. There'd be slight differences in wording or something, but the message was pretty much the same. And it was only the New World Translation that was different from other ones. And I started to research the history of the organisation. I noticed, first of all, that nothing that Rutherford or Russell ever written, apart from the 1914 teaching, is ever talked about now, and it's never reprinted. Now, Rutherford wrote more books than anyone in the society history. He wrote loads of books, and not one single word that Rutherford had written is reprinted in any of the publications now, because it's all light. It was wrong. He wasn't God's channel, as he said he was. And as for Russell, if you look at the history of that, he was a Second Adventist and took a lot of their teachings away and started his own little religion, because he believed in 1914 the end of the world would happen, and it didn't happen. And so you look at things like that, and so you start to research even more. And then I read Crisis of Conscience by Ray France, ex-governing body member. And after I read that, there was no going back, because everything I read in that book was backed up with fact and backed up with the Society's own publications. So I couldn't believe the lies that the Watchtower Society had printed, and I couldn't excuse them either. So secretly, I switched off from the Watchtower and the religion. But I knew that I couldn't leave. I knew that I would have to fade. I couldn't just leave the religion, because it would mean I would lose my whole family. I would lose my friends as well. So I knew that I couldn't leave, because there's no way that you can leave the Jehovah's Witness religion without being shunned. If you leave because you've done something wrong, such as disagreeing with the governing body, or smoking a cigarette, or celebrating your birthday, you will be shunned by your family and friends until for about a year. Even if you want to come back, you'll be shunned for a year. And if you don't want to come back, you'll be shunned for the rest of your life. Or you can disassociate, in which case you'll be shunned by your family and friends for the rest of your life, unless you want to come back, which they will shun you for years until they allow you to come back. Or, at the time, you could simply stop going to the meetings and do what's called fading, which means you just stop going to the meetings for a long time, and they eventually class you as inactive. And maybe you'll get some visits from the elders, maybe, trying to encourage you to go back to the hall. But they wouldn't class you as a witness after so many years, and then you can pretty much do what you want, and hopefully they would leave you alone. Hopefully. Although since I left, they brought out a new teaching now. The governing body made a new rule that anybody who fades from the religion, if they do anything that's non-JW, such as celebrating your birthday or smoking a cigarette or living with someone they're not married to, then you're supposed to shun them as well. So it's changed since I left. So I had no way to leave. So what I did, I tried to start fading. So I stopped going in the ministry. I managed to not go door knocking for a whole year. I was hit and miss with the meetings, but it was difficult for me because my wife's father is an elder. And so because he's an elder, it's not like I could go under the radar. He's going to know that I'm not going to the meetings because I'm in the same Kingdom Hall as him. And also in the apartment complex that I lived at the time, I lived next door to another elder and his wife, who used to give me and my wife and my daughter lists of the meetings. So I couldn't just stop going to the hall because they'd notice. So I had to try and do it gradually. And I really didn't know how I would leave. But as things would have it, I joined an online forum for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, or for people who are active Jehovah's Witnesses who don't believe it anymore, called jehovahswitnesses.com. And I joined that, and I started to give my experiences there and share my thoughts there. And I was given a lot of support and encouragement on there, and I really did feel part of something there. There was a lot of support there. But I did think my plan was to pretty much have one foot in the religion and one foot out, and have to live my life that way, because I could never leave, because I'd lose my family and my friends and everyone that I knew. But one day somebody found my internet history and saw that I was on that site, and saw some of the things that I'd written about the society, and I was reported to the elders. And so, knowing that they would use this to disfellowship me, I took that time to disassociate, a letter to disassociate from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And about a week later, the elders meeting, after the Thursday meeting, the elders read the letter. Well, one of the elders read the letter out, and I was given a phone call. Somebody called me, an elder who were trusted and who liked, who lived in the apartment complex that I lived in, and he rang me and begged me. He left me a voicemail because he didn't answer my phone. He left me a voicemail saying to please meet with him and talk about it, and he could fix this. So I was done with the witnesses. I didn't want to go back. I didn't believe it. But I agreed to meet with them anyway and talk to them. And I met with him in a pub, and it was very one-on-one, very laid back and casual. And he's a lovely man. I do love him to this day. He's an elder, and he convinced me to meet with the elders and share with them what I believe and the things that I learned, and the things that I learned from my research. So I said, okay, I'll meet with them and talk to them. So I met with them, and the meeting was to be at Kingdom Hall in the evening. And I turned up at that meeting, which turned out to be a judicial committee. I wasn't told it would be a judicial committee. I turned up and there were 3 elders there. And so I went along with it because I wanted to present what I knew about the religion, because I knew it was a lie. I knew it was false. So I wanted to have my testimony. And so they tore up my letter, my disassociation letter. They tore it up, and we talked. And for the first hour was them trying to get me to admit that I believed God existed, and I believed that Jehovah was God, and that the Watchtower Society was his organisation. Now, at the time, I did believe in God. I did believe that it was Jehovah, 50-50. I believed it could be Jehovah, it could be another God. But I did believe in a creator at the time. But I didn't believe that the Watchtower Society was his organisation. And then eventually, after about an hour, one of the elders said, well, do you believe that God exists? And I said, yes. And he said, well, we get on then. We get on with our judicial. And then he started the judicial committee. And for 2 hours, basically, I was grilled about the things that I believe, where I found them, and did I go on apostate sites, and do I pray? How often do I pray? And what do I think about this? What do I think about that? Do I love the governing body? And it went on for about 2 hours. And at the end of it, I knew what would happen. At the end of it, I was disfellowshipped for apostasy. And I was given the chance to appeal it, which I didn't do. And it was announced in the Kingdom Hall about a week later that I was disfellowshipped. But I wasn't there because I had no intention of going ever again. Now, when I was disfellowshipped, for the first couple of weeks, maybe about a month and a half, I used to go to the meetings still. I'd go along because I kind of wanted to see my family again. They were in a different congregation, my family. I wanted to see my family again, so I would go. After about 6 weeks, I thought to myself, what am I doing? I'm wasting Thursday evenings and Sunday mornings. I could be spending that time doing something I enjoy. I could have hobbies, I could have friends outside. I could have a lion on Sunday. I could do whatever I want. So I stopped going to the meetings, and I've never been in one since. I never will. My family haven't spoken to me since I was disfellowshipped. They did speak to me before I was announced as disfellowshipped. When they knew I was being disfellowshipped, there was about a week or 2 gap before I was announced. And my family did speak to me between those times. And they were upset, and they were sure that I would come to my senses and return to the religion. And they were looking forward to the time that I returned to Jehovah. But that's not going to happen. And so I'm fully resigned to the fact that I will never see my family again. I'll never see my brothers, my sisters, my mum, my nieces and nephews. And it's unfortunate. Now, they will say, as every witness will say, well, he knew what he was doing when he left. He knew that this would happen. But that doesn't disguise the fact that a person has the right to leave a religion that they don't believe. A person shouldn't have to choose between their family and their religion, as the Watchtower Society once said in one of their magazines. I shouldn't have to join a religion to have my family love me. Now, my family think they're doing a loving thing by shunning me, because they think the only way I will survive Armageddon is if I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And the only way I'll be a Jehovah's Witness is if they shun me for so long that I will miss them and return to the religion. And so, excuse me, my family will paint this as I'm the one being stubborn, I'm the one being unreasonable, I'm the one treating my family so bad. In fact, my mother and my sister have texted me on a one-off chance, on one thing, saying that you don't know how much we're suffering. We're suffering because you left us. But I haven't left. I just left a religion I didn't believe. I don't leave my family. I'm not shunning anybody here. I want my family to speak to me. And I've even said to my family, I don't, excuse me, I don't talk about religion. I have no interest in religion. I don't want to talk about religion. But it is true that this cult, the Jehovah's Witnesses, does break up families. Because once you become a Jehovah's Witness, if you become a Jehovah's Witness and your family are Jehovah's Witnesses, you can never leave because your family will shun you. So you will lose your family if you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's happened to me. Now, one thing that the Jehovah's Witnesses believe is that apostates want to draw followers after themselves, and that apostates are stubborn and they lie, and that they're bitter, and that they're hard-hardened. And I can tell you from personal experience that that's not the case. That's definitely not the case. Of all of the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that I've met and spoke to online or met them face-to-face, 98% of them love Jehovah's Witnesses. They view them as victims, and they're not bitter. They're not liars. In fact, everything they talk about is backed up from the Society's own publications from years ago or from present day. And the Society always contradicts themselves all the time. And there's a reason why JW.org only goes back so far on the online library. It goes back to about the 90s because the previous literature was old light, and it contradicts the things the Jehovah's Witnesses now teach. Now, the apostates view Jehovah's Witnesses as victims because we're concerned that the average member isn't being told the whole truth. It's not that they're being kept in the dark, and there's things that they should be aware of. They're not being cared for. They're being used. The governing body would certainly throw any Jehovah's Witness under the bus to get themselves out of trouble, which is exactly why when there's court cases that come up, the governing body don't go to those court cases. Jeffrey Jackson went to one with the Royal Commission because he was pretty much forced to go to it. Gerrit Lersch denied he was even a member of the Watchtower, so that he didn't even have to go to the open court. The governing body lie to their members. They keep things from them. That's not a loving thing to do. A person who has a religion, who has a belief, should have the right to leave that religion if they don't think it's correct, if they don't believe it. And they shouldn't have to choose between their family and their religion. So that's my story. Now, if you meet a Jehovah's Witness and they say that they don't break up families, let me give you a little bit of information. I have a daughter. She's 3 years old. I see her 3 times a week. Okay? My wife left because I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I don't see my brothers anymore. I don't see my sisters anymore. I don't see my mum anymore. I don't see my cousins anymore. My nieces or nephews. I've got a nephew who's the same age as my daughter, and I left when he was about 1 year old, and I've never heard him speak. I don't know what his voice sounds like. And the unfortunate thing is, if my family did speak to me, I have no interest in talking about religion to them. They could have a normal relationship with me as always. I would respect their beliefs. If they want to believe what they believe, that's up to them. I don't care. Makes them happy? Sure, wonderful, whatever. Do what you want. Make you happy. No interest in making them upset. All I want is peace and people to be honest with each other. And if I'm wrong, if the things I brought out in my judicial committee were wrong, then by all means point them out to me. I hope I am wrong. I would love the world to be a utopia one day and people to live in perfect peace and prosperity, and for the animals to be vegetarians and not attack people, and for there to be no war, no death, no suffering, no famine. I'd love that to happen. I'd love it to happen. But the things I researched, the things I found, no. The Bible doesn't say that. Not on earth anyway. And as it is, I am an apostate. I'm glad that I'm an apostate. And that is my testimony. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.